GameSpot readers and viewers, welcome to another edition of Now Playing. I am Kevin Van Ord, and seated next to me is the great Giancarlo Veronini.
Ooh, the great.
Absolutely. You're absolutely awesome, Giancarlo, and one reason is because you brought by a special game. You brought by The Darkness 2 to show us.
Yes, this is the sequel. Some people might remember the original The Darkness from Starbreeze Studios, the guys who did Chronicles of Riddick. Starbreeze is not doing this game. It's being done by Digital Extremes, who did Dark Sector, and they've done a bunch of other stuff. They did like the multiplayer for BioShock 2 and plenty of other things. So yeah, this is a direct sequel. It takes place 2 years after the original game. Jackie Estacado is now the boss of the Franchetti crime family. But it actually has a little recap at the beginning of this that we will watch shortly, that it will explain what's happened in the last game and what's kind of led up to the point that we are going to be playing at.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, if you didn't play the original Darkness, I love the original Darkness. I finished that game. I even played some multiplayer. It was very interesting. Not the best multiplayer in the world, but I dug that game a lot. And I think if you did like the Darkness, you'll probably see some things right away that interest you about the game that you may not have expected.
Yeah, well, we'll watch this and then
Sure.
then we'll jump into it.
Okay, you know how this story starts. In the beginning, there wasn't shit. Literally, nothing but void and darkness. That's how the darkness liked it. It wasn't until God decreed, turn on the lights, that things got nasty. Started out small. A planet here, a sun there. You know, next thing you know, there were humans and cows and then stuff running all over the place. Needless to say, the darkness was pissed. From then till now, the darkness tore its way through the world, inhabiting one human host after another, each thinking that they were its master. But you can't own the darkness. The darkness owns you. Fast forward to one Jackie Estacado. You know his type. No family, no hope, no future. He ended up about what you'd expect, busting heads for the Franchetti crime family. Life as a whole was pretty dark for Jackie. Then came his 21st birthday, and things got a whole lot darker. And then you might think that inheriting superpowers would be pretty cool for Jackie, you know, being in the business of killing people and all. And if not for the demon living inside of him, you'd be right. See, the darkness didn't just make Jackie stronger, it made him a god. But only when the lights were out. Next thing you know, the mob turns on Jackie, marks him for death, just like that. It was the New York City mob versus Jackie. And the darkness. But as dark as things were for Jackie, there was a light in his life. And her name was Jen. Now these kids, they went way back. I don't think anybody would disagree that they were meant for each other. If anything, that's the real tragedy in all this. See, the mob was still after Jackie. Now, they thought the quickest way to get him would be to take away, you know, his only reason for living. Killing Jenny was just about the dumbest thing the mob could have done. See, because without her, Jackie not only had nothing left to live for, he had nothing left to lose. As for the darkness, Jackie's kept it locked away for years, you know, but it doesn't matter how hard he tries. No one can hold back the night. If he can't control this thing inside him, pretty soon there won't be anything left. Jackie will be nothing but an empty shell. And that's just how the darkness likes it.
I'm thinking he's had some coffee.
Yeah, that guy comes up later in the game, and he's what his role is revealed a little bit more. But yeah, he's a little baddie.
Clearly.
Just a tiny little bit. But there you go, that's kind of just the recap. So it takes place right after the first game. You know, kind of touches upon a very important moment in the original game involving his girlfriend, and how that was kind of a touching moment for video games, period. It kind of was this oddly emotional thing.
Touching
the shooter
and
that's
shocking.
Yeah, and so that's actually played on quite a bit in this game. In fact, there's moments where, you know, she plays a role in the game. I'll just say that.
All right. I'll trust in you on that.
Yeah.
So going into it, I mean, what do you think we should need to know beyond just that introduction? What are we going to see that might surprise us or might be familiar to us if we play the original?
So this is going to kind of reintroduce you to the darkness and the darkness powers, because a lot of this early part is based upon Jackie not having the darkness under control.
Something terrible.
So it'll kind of introduce you back into things, kind of give you a feel for what the powers are, what some of the new abilities are, and things like that.
And of course, this is familiar. Of course, if you played the first game, these monologues coming from Jackie. But it's hard not to notice that there's a different art style to this game.
Yeah, so it's cell shaded. But it's not like it's not super heavy-handed cell shading. It's more just kind of like
eventually.
I don't really know how to describe it, but it's not completely overdone where it's like comical.
Right.
Obviously, it's trying to draw from its comic book roots with the art style and things like that. But it's funny because I think in videos and screenshots and things like that before, we couldn't really tell that it was cell shaded.
Sure.
But when you get it and see it in person, it's a much different story. So Jackie's about to head into this club. He's about to visit with all of his family, his goons, and all these people.
Which one? Hey, Jackie, check out the rack on the brunette to your right. No, your other right.
That's his left, dipshit. Hey, Jackie, check it out. They put up a picture of your dad. He was a good man, your father. Good man. Well, look, this ain't the time to be depressed. Come on, boss. They got your usual table ready. Twins are waiting for you.
Terrific.
Hey there.
It's striking. Usually you associate sort of a clean look with games with cell shading, and actually this game,
Oh, Mr. Galvani,
just clearly right off the bat, looks like there's a lot of detail in the environment. There's a lot of stuff going on to look at, so it's not just relying on like the clean lines of cell shading as you usually think of it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, there's an interesting kind of contrast. I mean, when you see the faces up close and stuff, you'll see a lot of detail. It's not just sort of the flat coloring or anything like that. And as you said, here in the environment, you see there's a lot of detail in the walls. It's not just just this flat shaded kind of area.
Here you go, boss. Bon appetit.
Hi, Jackie. Remember us from the Candy Club? Well, do you? Sure he does.
Trust me, ladies. I wish I did.
Oh, God!
Yeah. So this game is ultra violent and brutal, as you will see in the coming minutes.
Geez, I did not expect that.
Yeah. Yeah, this game does not hold back. That is for certain.
I mean, it's interesting actually the way the game is setting a tone, not just from the opening, kind of introduction, but now like the first bit of gameplay and introduction to the world within the game itself is pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Come to the dark.
So unlike the first game, there's a really generous snap to for aiming, as you can kind of see that I'm doing.
Right.
In fact, it's kind of, they throw a lot of enemies at you, and they tend to come from a lot of different directions. So a lot of the gunplay kind of feels like quick draw Red Dead Redemption style shootouts, as opposed to just these kind of long drawn out sharpshooting sequences.
Right.
And it's really kind of nice, actually. I mean, it's not. These aren't like the most hardcore shooting mechanics, but I don't think that's what they really wanted them to be.
Sure. I mean, I'm curious though. The first game, the gunplay really wasn't that good.
Right.
I'm curious. What are your thoughts on the gunplay now that we've moved on to the sequel?
It's definitely more fun to use. I think in the first game it was just like, okay, the shooting's not that great. I'm just going to use the darkness powers for the most part and use the shooting sparingly.
Right.
This, it's more you feel like you can use it in tandem, and in fact, they want you to use them in tandem. As you'll see in a little bit, you can essentially weaken enemies by shooting them and then grab them with the tentacle, the darkness tentacle, and then execute them that way, and then you get health bonuses. So it's really encouraging you to do that sort of stuff as opposed to just shooting or just using the darkness powers.
Right. Now this sequence looks like it's pretty much on rails. Is that the case?
Yes, it is. I am only just doing the shooting. There's a guy. Shoot him in the groin area.
My boss, listen. You can see the kitchen from here. can make a break for it. You gotta take both pieces so I can lift you up. All right.
So Jackie's hurt pretty bad. So when you're wielding two weapons at once, the aiming obviously isn't the same, so it's more of just general
shooting from the hip.
Yeah, and I've actually found myself switching back to single weapon more often than not, just because of the way that the auto aim works. But it's still fun every once in a while to just kind of bust out two pistols.
Oh, Jesus. I smell gas. Hurry up, Benny.
They're in there. That's us. Quick, give me a lighter. Burn in hell, Estacado.
No, that can't be healthy. I'm curious. We actually heard the darkness speak pretty early on. Are we looking at a different voice actor this time?
No, I believe that's still Mike Patton
Okay.
of Faith No More fame, who also did the voice of the darkness in the original game, and you might have also heard his voice as one of GLaDOS's little crazy head things in the original Portal.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's still him. He does a really good, weird, crazy, demonic voice. And like the first game, so the darkness will kind of chime in every once in a while and will kind of serve as sort of commentary for things that are going on in the story and kind of Jackie's struggle with the darkness and whether or not he's able to control it and things like that. And there's stuff that happens later in the story where you start to kind of wonder if the darkness is all that bad, and you know, obviously it does some horrible things, but for Jackie's purposes, it might be the best thing for him.
Sure.
Stronger than his father.
Keep pushing him.
Still breathing, huh, motherfucker? Come on. Come over here. I got something for you.
I have a feeling you've got something for him.
Yeah, wait for it. And
There you go.
hey,
Didn't take nearly as long as it did in the first game to get there. Jeez.
so I would be lying if I said that I didn't take a few minutes just to throw guys around with the tentacles when I first started playing this part of the level.
Oh my god. It's really great and cinematic. Now, obviously, we've gone through sort of a very linear opening. I mean, almost as most games would at this point. You know, did things open up? You know, the original Darkness did have plenty of sort of go at your own pace, you know, sort of open level design in some ways.
I mean, from what I've seen so far, it is pretty linear. There's not really a lot of opportunity to go off the beaten path or to just kind of go your own way.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty story-driven, pretty linear.
What the fuck just happened, Benny? Who hit us? I don't know, boss. I don't know. After the explosion, I saw some guy with a limp. He had some weird-looking fucks with him. Nobody I recognized, though. Where'd that piece of shit go?
He seems nonplussed by the fact that you have giant demons coming out of you.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you try to figure out. You know how on some TV shows you wonder if, oh, can everybody see that thing, or is it just one guy kind of thing? That's always what I'm sort of wondering here.
Well, the first game was actually much the same way. There would be people that, even though you had giant heads growing out of your sides, they never seemed to really notice anything unusual.
Yeah, and just, I know it'll kind of run us through it, but I just want to show, so this is generally, you use the left side to grab guys, and you can just kind of fling them around and do all that kind of stuff. The right side is for whipping, which is great for, you know, taking out lights, which are still harm the darkness, so if you walk in the spotlights and things like that.
Oh God!
Yeah, there's that. And I'll do it one more time. Let's see if we can get it right in the head. Yoink!
Oh my God! Now, one thing I'm noticing right away is that when you land an attack, you're actually getting a pop-up telling you that you've gotten XP for that.
Yes. So okay. So one of the crazy things about the Darkness 2 is that it actually has like a skill system and the skill tree. So you get these basically experience points that you can use, that you can spend at various areas in the game. They're pretty frequent actually. And they're different powers. The best comparison I can draw is that they're like the plasmid powers in BioShock, where they're basically enhancements to to things that you can already do, or their new powers. Like one of the new powers is that you can basically shoot a cloud of flies at guys, or you can shoot darkness-infused bullets.
Right.
That makes them more powerful. So it's sort of the Bioshock kind of method of power-ups and skills.
And you've got, I see manual control sort of over the direction that you're moving the head.
Yeah, so I can either go up and down like that or side to side. And that kind of comes into play here that we'll see really quick in terms of like cutting up with these wires. So you cut them vertically. Also, using the vertical slash is important because you can launch guys into the air, but it won't let me do that because this is tutorial. But here's one of the executions that you can do to get more health. So it gives you experience and it gives you health.
I like it. You just keep picking up the corpses and throwing them around. I assume you can use them as weapons. Just pick up a corpse and throw it at the dude?
Yep.
Let me die!
So there's a lot of stuff to interact with in the environment, a lot of things to pick up and use as weapons. In fact, one of the powers you can get makes it so that anything that you grab in the environment and you throw will make it explode.
Right.
So that's kind of a useful thing to have. And there we grab our weapons.
So now can you put the darkness away?
No, so it only goes away when you step into the light. Sometimes it'll go away just for story purposes.
Sure.
But yeah, it's always so.
You can pick up a car door and use it as a shield?
Yes, which is kind of awesome. So there we go.
Oh my lord.
You can also throw the car door at guys and basically decapitate them or do any other sort of horrid things to them. So.
Oh my lord.
That's
fantastic.
Do that, and then again, the shooting's pretty forgiving, so you can take care of these guys pretty quick.
I mean, it does strike me very clearly, like, right from the beginning, that this is more of a shooter than the first game was, which I always felt was more kind of like an action adventure in which you shot, if that makes any sense. Like, it feels very clear like this is setting a tone for a lot more action, something a little more straightforward.
Definitely, there's a lot more sequences where basically like you're trapped in a room and a series of guys come in, and they really, they come at you pretty often. There's usually, they throw 5 or 6 guys at you at once in these often really tiny spaces.
Right.
So the firefights are pretty intense when they happen. This is kind of the rare exception where you're outdoors and it's kind of a larger area to move around in. But we've only played about half the game, or we only have access to about half the game, so generally speaking, we don't really know if it changes up from that later on.
Now in the original, the darkness was more than just like a battle tool. It was also used for things like puzzle solving and for like getting up and through different spaces and things like that. Can you do the same thing here?
So there hasn't been really any sign of that I've seen, but our little friend here who comes in, the Darkling, plays a much more prominent role in that sense, although I wouldn't necessarily call them puzzles, but there are moments where you need to use him to kind of get through a certain point. But yeah, there's no area where like the darkness thing snakes its way through and then like 10 feet away and then you unlock something. I haven't seen anything like that yet.
I'll pass, but thanks for the help.
I'm kind of curious too, and I obviously I don't want you to spoil anything, but one of my favorite sequences in the original game, there's you're tied to the past in the original game in certain ways, and I'm sort of curious, is there something that we won't see coming that maybe might have us moving to a different environment or something a little more supernatural?
Potentially.
Potentially?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Don't give anything away then.
So there's one of my favorite skills that Jackie can actually get is he can pick up the Darkling and actually throw him, and if you combine that with the thing that makes any object that you pick up explode, it's pretty fun to use.
So essentially this comes across as a game in which you quadruple yield.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, you have plenty of tools, and these are relics. So you'll see the relics that are stored in your mansion when we get to that point, but you have a mansion and you'll see all the relics that you've collected in the game. So it's sometimes just fun to fling things around. Oh, so here's the shrine where you can upgrade your skills. So let's take a look at it really quick. So you can see there's quite a few different things.
A little bit more complex than I actually expected that to be.
Yeah, but they kind of separate them into different areas. So these are mostly the weapon powered things. So
Right.
you know, everything's kind of all your weapons are enhanced by the darkness, sort of a thing. These are executions are enhanced, things like this. So you can get more health when you execute guys. This is the tree that I've been using more of. So this is the one where you can actually grab the Darkling and throw him. This is the thing where anything turns into a bomb, essentially. So you go through here and you can upgrade the various parts, and it adds kind of a new element, I will say, that wasn't really present in the original game.
I saw a swarm ability. Is that basically a bee gun?
That is the bee gun, but it is the bee gun.
More Bioshock similarities than originally expected, I think.
Do me a favor. Let's see if you can open that box up there.
Yeah, the Darkling provides the comic relief often.
I have to ask more from a personal preference perspective. Can you turn off the experience indicators?
Yes, I believe you can turn off certain HUD elements. I haven't actually done that yet, but
because there's something about that for me strikes me as something that it's distracting enough that it actually takes away from what I think is the actual kind of the spirit of the game, which is the immersion and the darkness itself. So I'm glad to know that you can turn that off.
yeah, well, there are certain HUD elements I know you can turn off. I haven't actually tried to do that yet. But,
All right.
But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's kind of a weird RPG-ish thing to see. All the plus 10s and plus 5s Oh, and the Darkling will hold guys for you, so you can do this.
Oh my God, Giancarlo, you are... Oh,
So horrible.
oh my God, what exists in your heart that you could bring yourself to do such things to people?
I don't know, I'm a terrible person. So getting a little low on health, so it'd be a good idea to eat some hearts.
Now, is there a little bit of forgiveness? Like, is there like a slight amount of health regen?
You know, actually, I think it's pretty, as far as encouraging you to eat the hearts to regain your health, it really wants you to do that. I don't think I mean, it's not, if there is health regen, it's not so obvious that it's like, oh, I can just sit here and wait. It definitely wants you to do the eat the heart thing. So we'll,
Oh, you missed. So I'm kind of curious too. It looks like I saw the Darkling kind of, encouraging you to come his way. Is he essentially your waypoint?
So yeah, he'll kind of wave you over to where you need to go, and in boss battles and things like that, he'll tell you, hey, look up here, I have something for you that you might find useful. Otherwise, you have this thing, you can press select, and a little cloud will go out and kind of show you where the waypoint is. So he's holding that guy again. Yeah, he already killed him. So they're my boys, they're fighting.
That way, down into the subway.
Man, that's great.
Who the fuck are these guys, Jackie?
I suppose it's too late to mention that this is an M-rated game.
Yeah,
Thank you for announcing the obvious, Kevin. But
we should definitely put some kind of warning.
I love
that
that the gore was like, oh, whatever, and then suddenly he uses a bad word, and I'm like, oh, this is M-rated. So, like, I will say that one of the in the first game, one of the things maybe that were a little bothersome is the controls did feel a little clunky when it came to using the darkness. Does it feel really fluid here?
Yeah, it actually feels a lot better to me. It's much more natural. Actually, I'm trying to knock this light out because it hurts the darkness if you walk into the light, and he will eventually disappear. Yeah, no, they're definitely much snappier, I would say. Like, I feel like there's just much more responsive movement. So, I mean, the only thing that does get a little weird is when you are controlling the direction sometimes, but you get used to it, I would say.
And so, in that realm, how precise does the game really expect you to be when it comes to that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, what I like about what they've done is that they just want you to kind of have fun with these really horrible powers that you have. And I think they've done a fairly good job. From what I've played of it, they've done a good job of that. They just want you to basically have fun with superpowers. And we need to shoot out some lights. You can either shoot them out or you can knock them out. And see,
And the darkness is not happy with you.
Right, yeah. And there's civilians all over the place.
Now, a very important question as somebody who played the first game. Is there a breakdancer in the subway?
No, there's no breakdancer.
No, that can't possibly be the case.
Yeah, I know. You spent so much time in subways in the first game. You really don't spend as much time in subways this time around. This, as far as I know, this is the only subway area.
Do you make any calls from payphones?
No.
Really?
No.
Another change. Probably a welcome one in this case.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is definitely like a nice kind of nod to the original game in some way, but yeah, not really. They're not really the hub worlds anymore.
So you won't be hopping on the subway to actually get somewhere, or, well, in this case, possibly you will.
Well, in terms of story, actually I should explain this really quick. Every once in a while, the game will slow down when you get a headshot, which will give you an opportunity to basically take out more enemies at once. So you do get rewarded for actually trying to aim for the head.
So a little bullet time if you land a good shot.
Yeah. So actually, in terms of story, so Jackie is like the head of the crime family now, so he doesn't have to take the subway. You know, he's a pretty well-off guy. He doesn't, you know, he has his own personal car. He has his own goons that can escort him around. So story-wise, it makes sense that he doesn't really need to take the subway places.
Sure. And I don't need to drive myself either. I assume there's no driving in the game.
There's no driving, at least none that I've seen so far. That's gross.
Wonderfully, wonderfully gross.
So as you can see, I mean, the first few levels are pretty gunplay heavy.
Sure.
As you get to some of the later levels, it will make you rely a little bit more on the darkness powers and recognizing things in the environment that you can use to throw at people, or just, you know, really not relying on, and there's another opportunity to upgrade your skills, which I will not do.
Oh, nice. Oh my God!
And there is a reason for doing that. It's not just the gratuitous violence. You get a health bonus when you do executions.
No, it's the gratuitous violence.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting out of it, Giancarlo. I don't know about anybody else. You can pretend that it's for the health benefit. Oh. Wow. That is not the way you want to die.
No, that's probably one of the worst ways.
Yeah. I mean, of all the many awesome ways to die,
Yeah.
you know. Are you sure you want to be standing there?
No, so I'm gonna get out of the way. Oh God, I'm out of ammo. Okay.
That's all right. You have another tool at your disposal. As long as you keep it dark in there. Ugh. So how chatty does the darkness generally tend to be?
He's not too bad in the first half of the game. I mean, he'll chime in every once in a while for story purposes, but he's not like, and every once in a while he'll be like, yeah, that's awesome, you're being bad, you know, but yeah, he won't, otherwise he's not too chatty.
Man, how many different animations do they actually have for those kills?
So I've seen those three. I actually think there are more. Maybe there aren't, but I think in the skill tree there might be one more.
Another scripted event for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I noticed that you had to accomplish a quick time event or anything during that moment. Do you see anything like that?
No, it's mostly just triggers. You'll be walking through and it'll just kind of trigger what needs to happen. far as cutscenes go, they're pretty straightforward. There are times where you can interact with cutscenes outside of just, oh, and he'll pee on guys, by the way. That's the thing that he does.
And it's good that he shakes at the end. At least he's hygiene focused.
Yeah, yeah. There are opportunities later where cutscenes become interactive in the sense that Jackie may have to make a decision or two.
Nice headshot.
Yeah.
Too bad you can't really get a lot out of that one. Oh, there's a dude over there.
Yeah, shotguns in this game are really powerful. That guy had one, and if you are not careful, those can take you down pretty fast.
But on the same token, I assume that when you have a shotgun, you feel like, king of the world.
Oh yeah, big time. So what I like about that is that even when you're in the middle of reloading, you can still use a darkness power. So pick up that weapon because I need the ammo, and then being shot from behind.
Head whip. It's kind of interesting. Like, you actually feel like you have sort of maybe a bullet storm sort of skill shot system. Does it feel like it sort of translates in a similar way?
Not really, because I mean, there's not really any sort of emphasis on precision, like where you're shooting the guys. I mean, the headshot is kind of where you're at. But yeah, in terms of like using the gun in combination with the darkness, yeah, I mean, you get more experience points, so it is trying to encourage you not to just rely on guns or just rely on the darkness, I think.
Jenny!
Oh, who could that be?
So obviously the darkness has an incredible sense of self-preservation.
Yes, in fact, that is kind of the big theme in the darkness too, and that the darkness itself will do pretty much anything it can to survive. It'll do anything it can to keep control over Jackie. And a lot of the stuff that happens later in the game is kind of ultimately the battle they have with each other. And there's some kind of nice story sequences here too.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about that. We saw a really, action-heavy sequence right there, and I was curious how when story comes into play, how frequently is that, and does it feel about the same as in the original game?
It's interesting. I feel like the story plays a little bit more of a role in terms of just being a part of the game here, because they just there's these moments where Jackie just has these kind of odd dreams, I guess, like this one, for example.
Johnny.
And here's somebody we recognize.
Pal, what are you doing here? And where the hell are we?
You let stupid stuff get in your head, then it gets all jumbled and weird, and people think you're nuts!
Gaffy.
Finally, Jackie.
Guessing too much of that.
Yeah, he's a little cuckoo. And then we'll see Tony up here.
Tony, what happened? Did you find the guys who hit us at the restaurant?
Sometimes I can't tell the difference between a fruit and a vegetable.
Jesus Christ, what is this place?
Yeah, that happens.
I like grapes.
I mean, that's just everyday life for most of us. Is a tomato a fruit? Really? That's what they say, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I use it as a vegetable.
Yeah.
Why is it in vegetable juice if it's not a vegetable?
Yeah, V8 confuses me.
All right, so clearly self-preservation was the theme here.
Yeah.
And the question is that event really explained at all, or obviously we have to continue playing if we really want a straightforward.
What happened back there?
Yeah, there's certainly moments in this game where you'll be wondering what is it that really happened, and what did the darkness do, and things like that.
And the answers come, I would assume.
There are some answers to be had, yes. And we're about almost done with the demo. We're going to go back to Jackie's mansion here.
So you were talking about the mansion earlier. Is this kind of like a hub?
It is.
Where you sort of operate from there?
It's kind of the spot where you can kind of bulk up before you head out for the next mission, so to speak, and kind of get more story elements before heading on to the next thing.
That's all you think.
Maybe a little adventure game elements in there where you can wander around and interact with things.
Yeah, it'll show you your relic collection, the relics that you collect throughout levels that are hidden. You can go into a room that has all of them. You'll be able to talk to some of his cronies and things like that. You'll be able to talk to his aunt, who's kind of this foul-mouthed older woman. But there's not really too much to do there that I've seen that outside of just the normal, just kind of, hey, this is kind of the area where you kind of just spend time at between missions.
What the
So
fuck just happened?
I don't know. I saw some weird-looking guy on a limp. It was crazy. Like, one minute he's there, the next minute the guy just fucking disappears. I don't know. I must have hit my head or something.
It's nice that you get the option to skip these, even though they're not pre-rendered cinematics, but in the engine.
yeah. I mean, if you don't want to listen to any of this, it's you just do that.
Yeah. Although I would probably suggest that if this is a game you're interested in, you're probably not somebody inclined to skip through those things.
And this is Jackie's mansion, and this is where we will end our demo. And this is his office, in case you just want to see it.
Well, you know, I'm kind of big into offices. Can you show the stapler?
Let's see.
Because that would be really great.
No stapler.
I don't see a stapler. This is clearly not an office.
Son of a... That's his dad. That's Jackie and his dad.
Yeah.
I didn't realize his dad kind of looks like what's-his-face from Uncharted.
Oh, yeah.
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 I love that it reminds
something.
me completely blank on Sully.
Sully.
Yes, thank you. It looks like Sully from Uncharted.
That's
so
right,
we know things.
We do. We do know things.
Yeah, fantastic.
We write about games.
Well, Giancarlo, Darkness 2, when's it coming out? What platforms? What do we need to know?
It's coming out February 7th for all your favorite gaming platforms except for the Wii and various handhelds.
So there's no DS version of the Darkness 2?
No. As much as all the violence and stuff might be well suited for that market, they thought different.
Well, G, thanks so much for showing us the Darkness 2. Thanks so much. Obviously, I'm here with Giancarlo Veronina. I'm Kevin Van Ord. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned. We'll be bringing you more Now Playings very soon. You have a great day.